going on, everybody? Just wanted to shoot a quick video. I'm running 12.3.6 FSD on my Tesla. I've been driving around with it for a couple weeks now. It's been pretty much flawless. There's a little rain today. It's saying it's degraded on the car, so let's see how it performs. But so far it's been great, and I guess 12.4 is coming out next week potentially, so I definitely wanted to get a little video in before it upgrades to 12.4. But I also wanted to take this video and talk about the Tesla Superchargers. You know, I was on the Tesla Supercharging team for over a couple years, and I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but Elon blew up the Tesla charging organization, and I wanted to just talk about that from a few different angles, just to kind of give my perception or my feedback, kind of what I think of that. So first I want to talk about it as a Tesla driver, as a normal person who maybe has a Tesla car, who uses the Supercharger network. I can tell you from seeing the statistics for years that very few supercharging stations have a continual problem of slowing down people from charging. Only, I think, maybe 5% of the chargers or so have serious congestion problems. So about 95% of the chargers do not have congestion problems. There are a few rural edge cases where there are a few rural places where there are not enough chargers, but even most of the rural places in terms of traveling are fine. The two areas that I know are going to have issues with the charging team being blown up is number one, Hawaii, which that is nothing new. Hawaii's had problems for years, but Hawaii is going to be a problem. And then number two is Southern California, where really the supercharging team has, they built a ton of chargers. They did a great job there, but they really haven't been able to keep up because Southern California has really been the densest area of Teslas in the world. So those are the two areas where it could be a problem. I think after that, Northern California has a potential problem. Florida, the Northeast will eventually get there, but in the near term, it shouldn't be a problem. In the long term, it certainly could be a problem. So as a consumer, I don't think it's something to really freak out about. I do think they will continue to develop supercharging stations just at a much, much slower pace and much less efficiently. But in the near term, next couple years, I wouldn't worry about it. You can still drive across the country. Most cities still have sufficient amount of charging, especially considering the fact that the fact of the matter is that the sales of Teslas and other electric vehicles is slowing down a little bit, and we'll see how long that lasts, but that is the reality right now. Now, I want to talk about it also kind of just from like the Tesla company perspective. Now, I don't work at Tesla. I used to, but I kind of saw it inside, and I think this was a mistake. I think blowing up the supercharging team was a mistake. And I want to speak about why. Number one, the fact of the matter is that there have been people building these superchargers on the Tesla supercharging team for, over 10 years. And these people, and a lot of the people who've been on it even less than that, but still a significant amount of time, they've learned a lot of efficiencies on how to build superchargers, on how to deploy superchargers. It's not just by magic that the Tesla supercharging, network is so much more efficient, so much more reliable, so much more convenient than the other chargers. I mean, everyone knows that the other charging networks in America are a joke. They're unreliable, they don't work, and oftentimes they're not in the greatest locations, or there's just maybe one or two of them there, but there's not even that many. The supercharging network were in the best locations. It was the most reliable network. I mean, it already had like a 99% reliability. And the reason they could deploy so many chargers at such an efficient pace is because the supercharging team was continually improving, cost reductions, more efficient layouts, more streamlined agreements with our real estate partners and hosts, reducing construction costs, right? I mean, they had been reducing construction costs over and over and over again. And the fact of the matter is by just firing the entire team, there's no way of getting around it. That is going to reduce, all that institutional knowledge is gone. Okay, it's gone from the Supercharger team. That's not something that they're going to be able to keep with them when you blow up the whole team. And the thing is, with building these type of projects, there's real estate partners, there's cities and states and counties, there's AHJs, the authority of that area. And then obviously there's the construction relationships which were just as important as well, right? Like, a lot of these contractors that we'd work with, they would get really good at building these superchargers really quickly and really efficiently for really low costs. And that's why we could build Tesla could build a supercharger for, $10,000 a post or $7,000 a post, or very, very low per post. And these other, these other charging networks have much, much higher numbers, much, much higher, much more expensive, much less efficient. And then there's obviously the relationships with the utilities, which is one of the more difficult things about building superchargers. You need a ton of power. And in a lot of places, they don't have transformers. They don't have the power. I mean, there are a lot of roadblocks. The other thing that I disappoints me about blowing up the entire team is that there's hundreds, I'm sure hundreds, thousands, hundreds of sites and thousands of posts that are in the middle of development, right? So some of them, everything's permitted, waiting to go into action. Some are under construction. No one knows what to do next. Many are done with construction, just waiting to be energized, waiting for the utility to turn on the site. So, I mean, it's just, in my opinion, it's a big mistake. And that's not saying you couldn't dramatically cut the supercharging organization, maybe even in half, if you really, or even more maybe, if you really wanted to just clean house and reorganize it. But just destroying it, I thought, was a big mistake. And as a shareholder, I'll just say this: I still have a lot of support for Elon, support for Tesla, and still believe in the mission and what the organization is doing. But I have to say, charging is the biggest roadblock to EV adoption. And charging was also one of Tesla's largest advantages. Obviously, full self-driving is even higher, I would say. But the charging advantage, what it did for the organization, and this is amazing, by the way, what it did for the organization and what it did for Tesla as a brand, and just making EV driving a reliable thing, especially as they roll it out to all the other EV makers. I mean, it's just so crazy because Tesla has such an advantage in the United States, in North America, with their EV charging network. And to blow up that whole team and to, maybe possibly give back that entire advantage that so many people work so hard for and put so much sweat and tears for, I just think is crazy. And I have to tell you guys, a lot of people on the EV charging team for Tesla, they worked crazy hours, okay? They worked crazy hard. What they did was not easy, and I feel a lot of sympathy for those people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, and now it's just being blown up. So those were just a few thoughts. I hope you got to kind of watch FSD, how it handled the rain, some construction sites. It's doing wonderful. I'm totally blown away with this version 12.3.6. It's killing it. I'm gonna hope to post more videos coming up now that I got home. I did some traveling and stuff, but I'm gonna be posting more videos. I expect 12.4 to roll out anytime now. FSD is doing great though, and I think there's a really bright future for Tesla, and let's hope the best for the charging. All right guys, follow, subscribe, and catch my next video. Later.